Romero, and my TED Talk will be regarding Buckminster Fuller. To begin, who is Buckminster Fuller? Is he an architect, systems theorist, author, or an inventor? The truth is that he is all of the above. Mr. Fuller published more than 30 books, developed numerous inventions, mainly in architectural design, was awarded 25 patents, and popularized the widely known geodesic dome. Buckminster Fuller was born in 1895 in Milton, Massachusetts, where he later attended Harvard. However, he was expelled twice, once for partying too much and another for behavior detrimental to the university. I bring this up because this foreshadows Mr. Fuller's teachings and his views towards the norm, where he constantly challenged it. He held some odd jobs while he was out of school and served in the Navy during World War I. During the Great Depression, his family was having strong financial struggles, and he contemplated suicide, but it was never attempted. He wanted his family to benefit from the insurance policy. This struggle led to an epiphany where he later turned his life around. And in this image, you can see Buckminster Fuller stands proud in front of his greatest patents, the geodesic dome. The first time I heard of Buckminster Fuller is when I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, which I feel changed my life. I have read most of his books, and Robert Kiyosaki speaks highly of Mr. Fuller. He stated he would attend seminars hosted by Mr. Fuller and will leave feeling enlightened. I am a big fan of Robert Kiyosaki and his teachings, and he is the reason why I became aware of Mr. Fuller, because he is a stringent student of his teachings. Buckminster Fuller's invention philosophy is built around the following three terms: dynamic, maximum, and tension. These three terms describe his goal to be more efficient and completing more with less. He was a big believer of leverage, and in this case, using technology as a tool to complete his goal. From these three words, the term Dymaxion is derived, and it's a word Mr. Fuller uses throughout his career to describe his inventions, such as a Dymaxion car, Dymaxion house, and Dymaxion world map. One of Buckminster Fuller's famous inventions is a Dymaxion car, a car he designed during the Great Depression with naval architect Starling Burgess. Mr. Fuller built 3 prototypes using money from donations and family inheritance. It was Mr. Fuller's first attempt to challenge the norm, for this car was designed to one day incorporate not only drive, but flight. It's designed to optimize fuel efficiency and top speed. It is a front-wheel drive vehicle with a rear-mounted engine and 3 wheels. The steering system is the last single tire located in the rear vehicle, which enables sharp turns. This design also became a flaw because the vehicle became unstable in high speeds and winds. One of the prototypes was in an accident, which killed the driver. However, it was later confirmed that the Dymaxion car was not to blame. Mr. Fuller's ultimate goal for the car was for it to be produced for the masses and for it to be able to drive and fly. The technology was not yet available for what he envisioned, so the car company he formed eventually failed. Another invention Buckminster Fuller is known for is what he named the Dymaxion house. This is a home he envisioned that would be built for the masses, as he foresaw a housing crisis coming. The homes were completed in 1930 and were designed to be built on site out of a manufacturing kit, and were able to withstand extreme weather conditions. As humanitarian as this vision is, it was never fulfilled. This is a floor plan of the Dymexian house invented by Mr. Fuller. Its initial design included a foldable toilet, however, it wasn't adopted because of waste disposal issues. Although Mr. Fuller's dream of the Dymexian house being accepted by the masses was never fulfilled, it was accepted for other uses. The military placed a massive order where soldiers used it as temporary housing during World War II. It proved to be very effective for temporary housing and resistance against severe weather. Some troops were located in sub-zero areas during the war, and the home protected them during their stay at military camps. This is an image of Buckminster Fuller's Dymexian map, which he created. He placed the map of the world on an icosahedron, which is a polyhedron that has 20 faces, to show the relationship between geography of continents and geometry. Mr. Fuller claimed the map has several advantages over the traditional map because it has less distortions relative of size of areas and there is no right way up. Mr. Fuller's philosophy included that in the universe there is no up or down, north or south, only in and out. Buckminster Fuller is most known for his popularization of the geodesic dome. This thin shell structure entails triangular elements that enable stress loads to be distributed evenly throughout, allowing it to hold very heavy loads relative to their size. Mr. Fuller did not invent the geodesic dome, however. He was awarded the patents on the structure and its uses. He was the first to envision another utilization for the structure, and several giant domes were built. The uses of geodesic dome vary and have evolved over time, with the dome being used in the following: a biosphere greenhouse dome, used by Walt Disney World as a symbolic structure, used in private and public playgrounds, and as homes. Mr. Fuller's vision was to use the dome as an answer for the housing crisis that he tirelessly tried to solve. This is an image of a dome and how it was used as a greenhouse. It's the Missouri Botanical Garden, and Mr. Fuller designed it. This is an image of the dome at Walt Disney World. It's a derivative of Mr. Fuller's dome design. This is an image of the geodesic dome being used as a home. This is an image of the dome at a playground, and I personally remember playing this as a kid. Mr. Fuller's mind was not rigid or binomial, as inventors and engineers usually tend to think. His mind was animated with some extent, and he intended to connect his thoughts with geometry. He had begun to explore many relationships between global problems and geometry, and while in thought and practice, he found the jitterbug transformation. It's an object that transforms having 8 edges to doubling in edges with only a few movements. This provided a unifying dynamic in his work with synergetics, where he noticed some geometric shapes, regardless of edges, have the same volume as the strongest geometric design, the tetrahedron. Mr. Fuller left an intellectual legacy, and many individuals still seek his teachings and philosophy. That led to the creation of the Buckminster Fuller Institute, an institution that prides itself in practicing Mr. Fuller's teachings and philosophy to combat current global complex problems through design education. This institute has an annual challenge where teams compete for funding to support the development and implementation of strategy that has significant potential to solve humanity's most pressing problems. In addition, Buckminster Fuller Institute has created an educational platform to foster future design science pioneers. The creation of this institute underscores the lasting impact and legacy of Mr. Fuller's life. Thank you very much.